the evils of Marxism. If you think Stalin and those other guys got communism wrong, but you're
And then he said the evil. He just said it earlier. He's like, the evils of capitalism. Like, oh, the evils so extreme.
And then
like,
the
next
evils
line,
of
the evils of Marxism.
Ah! It's so stupid.
It's the Casey and Zoe thing.
All right, here's the next video.
In a remarkably short period of time, the philosophy of Karl Marx changed the course of history. At the height of its power, half the world fell under its dominion, kept there by a combination of
half
fear,
the world
terror,
fell under its dominion.
That's what the that's what the face was for. I was waiting for the other.
Yeah, I get it.
and brute force. Then suddenly, in the late 1980s, it imploded. By all rights, this should have been the end of Marxism. But it hasn't turned out that way.
So wait.
Is he Canadian?
So it's funny.
He
how
just
many
said
of these
out.
Weird right-wingers are Canadian now. Is he trying to say that the fall of the USSR represented like all socialism ending or faltering?
The Red Scare in the United States is what ended Marxism.
Like socialism lived on in many areas, like Cuba, or, you know, forms of socialism. Obviously, I criticize a lot of these as like, are they really socialism? But like the socialism he's talking, the way he identifies it, it's like it didn't end. It did not end in the late 80s.
Happening.
It's still a thing today.
It didn't implode. I think people's understanding of it might have imploded with excessive propaganda.
It definitely suffered a major blow in the cultural consciousness.
I think authoritarianism started to, or our acceptance of authoritarianism started to implode.
Yeah.
But Marxism as a philosophical theory
imploded because the USSR fell. Like,
I don't know.
Which, as we were saying earlier, like really did not follow the teachings of Marx.
I don't know about this one.
It's weird.
Fundamentalism, with its rejection of free markets, to critical race theory, which sees white patriarchy as the source of all evil, you'll find Marxism at its root. The leaders of Black Lives Matter, for example, openly acknowledge their devotion to Marxist ideology. How do we explain this fascination for something?
Those black people are really making it hard for us white people to be rich.
The women at the top of Black Lives Matter, I don't think they identify as Marxists.
Let's see. Maybe they do.
They definitely. This is
going to be a lot of Googling today. Bear with us.
They identify as socialists and abolitionists. Pretty sure of that. I don't think they identify as Marxists.
I mean, I really don't care if they do.
No, right.
But
it's just like fact check.
It just feels Marxism heritage.org.
Well, that's
gonna be.
This is an old white man.
Yeah, I'm not reading
saying
this.
something stupid, I think.
Socialistalternative.org. PolitiFact.
Oh, good. Thanks, PolitiFact.
Is Black Lives Matter a Marxist movement? Backlash against Black Lives Matter includes branding it as Marxist. The attack has been made in recent weeks by Rudy Giuliani, President Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Ben Carson,
you gotta believe
Trump's Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, conservative talk show host Mark Levin, and PragerU, which is more than 4 million Facebook followers.
Well, if all these liars said so, it must be true.
These days, Marxism usually... Oh, right here, I'll read this one too. Aren't sure what Marxism is, actually? It was developed by 19th century German philosopher Karl Marx and is the basis for the theory of communism and socialism. Marxism envisioned the revolutionary overthrow of capitalism by the proletariat, working class people, and eventually a classless communist society. Encyclopedia Britannica and Oxford reference say. These days, Marxism usually means analyzing social change through an economic lens with the assumption that the rich and the poor should become more equal. In a recently surfaced 2015 interview, one of the three Black Lives Matter co-founders declared that she and another co-founder are trained Marxists.
Well, there you go.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Self-identified Marxists. There it is. I was wrong.
But the movement has grown and broadened dramatically. Many Americans, few of whom would identify as Marxists, support Black Lives Matter, drawn to its message of anti-racism. Yeah, right. Regardless of whatever the professed politics of people may be who are prominent in the movement, they don't represent its breadth. That's the thing. In a Facebook post labeling Black as PragerU included a video with Carl Swain, a Black conservative and former professor at Vanderbilt and Princeton University, said now the founders of Black Lives Matter, they've come out as Marxists. Yeah, that doesn't mean every person is a Marxist.
But yeah, and like we're saying, we don't have any issue with if they're Marxists.
I don't give a shit if they're Marxists.
I've heard them identify as, first and foremost, I think I've heard them say they're abolitionists more than anything else. But here we go. There's a quote. They have also identified as Marxist.
The leaders.
The leaders.
2 of the 3.
Yeah.
That has so utterly failed everywhere it's been put into practice. We can find answers in one of Marx's most enduring epigrams. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs.
This is the first quote, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Marx was a poor economist, but a talented journalist. The only actual job he ever had. He knew how to turn a phrase.
So he did hold a
But
job.
what does this slogan
he held
even
a job.
mean?
Yeah.
According to what ability? According to what need? And who determines anyone's ability or anyone's need? Marx never bothered to answer these obvious questions. He had much bigger things on his mind. Nothing less than the creation.
I'm pretty sure his answer was that it would all be democratically decided. Am I wrong? Of the you know,
Let's see.
the ability and need.
Explain to each according to his ability. To each.
And what's up,
according
Mark?
To his need. Hi, Mark.
I'd be
Free
curious to look
access
into
and
that.
distribution of goods, capital, and services. That's all.
What was it?
Ideally, each person should contribute to society according to his or her best efforts to do so, and should nonetheless receive from society what he or she requires to survive in relative health and safety.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
And it's really a suggestion of a moral ethos, right? It's I think it's implicitly suggesting a spiritual revolution.
Well, just like Dale said, it's historical analysis.
Right. Yeah.
entirely new kind of world for an entirely new kind of human being. Marx believed that
new.
by altering man's economic and political institutions, he could alter, or even better, rewire the human brain. He could conjure a new...
In a way, yes, but this rewiring, you're connotating it as if it's a bad thing.
Yeah, the problem here is that he's showing the reworking of the human brain, and then the guy's eyes are turning cuckoo spiral crazy. But see, what it should be is right now our eyes are already cuckoo spiral crazy. And if we had a spiritual revolution where we prioritized human welfare and equity over profits for 0.1% of the population, we'd be less crazy than we are now. So he just got it backwards, like pretty much everything.
new consciousness that would replace the old false one. This new man would be less selfish and acquisitive and more altruistic and communal.
Wait, less
Oh,
in short.
no.
Wait.
Would be a
Scary.
Less inquisitive?
Selfish and
I don't.
I think he said inquisitive.
he
He
did.
could conjure a new consciousness that would replace the old false one. This new man would be less selfish and acquisitive.
He said acquisitive. Did you hear
yeah,
that?
I did hear that.
Learn how to talk, you
I
fuck.
don't think literally Marx's entire life as a philosopher was built on being inquisitive.
I'm gonna check.
I don't think this. I mean, this is impossible. To look at the world and endeavor to derive insight and then apply that insight through philosophical writings is like the definition of being inquisitive.
Yeah.
Karl Marx was not anti-inquisitiveness. What a fucking insane claim.
Yeah, it's wild. So it seems like there was a picture of Obama because there was an Obama video covering this, just so you know.
And more altruistic and communal. In short, he would
So
be a
scary.
superior type of man. Of course,
Spooky!
this
I'm
new man
spooked.
could only reach this goal if he wasn't preoccupied with having to earn money.
And when Marx says we could become better people, it's evil and he's trying to brainwash you. But when the church says,
You can become better people.
oh, PragerU is like, fuck yeah. Why don't you all go to church, you heathens?
Don't churches like require tithing?
Not all of them, but many, yes.
Some, yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
According to Marx, money and the pursuit of it ruined everything. Marx hated money, maybe because he never found a way to make it. Getting rid of it was central to his worldview. Once a person's
It's like,
subsistence,
come on.
one's
You
daily
have to
bread,
make him into a supervillain with flames in his eyes. It's just like laughable bullshit. Well, yeah, and it is interesting, Mark, and I think that's a result of like poor people aren't listened to.
Yeah.
like it's funny because we've gotten criticized for that sometimes too from conservatives and liberals of like, what are you, why are you complaining about capitalism when you're like, you're pretty well off? And we're like, yeah, like we've been pretty lucky and we're very privileged in terms of being like, white and so many other things. And like, but that's why, like, we're not speaking up for us. So we do have our own personal complaints about how capitalism has, in our eyes, made our lives worse. Mm-hmm. Our main concern is for people who are not privileged, and speaking up for those people and making it where, like, hopefully we can get to a point where those people, where we get to a class of society where everyone has a voice, and you don't need the most privileged people to leverage their privilege to bring attention to the woes of the less privileged.
Yeah. And Scarecrow 64, we'll get to that. That's a bit off topic.
Was distributed on the basis of need rather than greed, man's natural communal affections, long suppressed by his capitalist overlords, would be renewed.
Yep.
This is Marx channeling the 18th century French social thinker Jean-Jacques Rousseau, one of the few people Marx admired. According to Rousseau, this is what you must do if you want to create a new society. He who dares to undertake the making of a people's institutions must feel himself capable of changing human nature, of transforming each individual who by himself is a complete and solitary whole into part of a larger whole from which the individual receives his life and his being. Understand this, and you understand not only a key feature of Marxist thought, but the dark history of the 20th century. Marx took Rousseau literally. Human nature had to be returned to its allegedly pure, selfless state before capitalism, with its Enlightenment and Judeo-Christian values, corrupted him. But creating this new man would be a formidable...
There's the Judeo-Christian value shit again.
Well, yeah, and I don't think it's about going back to, like... I think it's about creating a whole... I think what it's acknowledging is that all nature is created. That we made up. That's the power of being a human as opposed to all the other animals, is that we can make up our own shit and we have like big imaginations. I don't think that the idea here was to bring us back to an old mindset. It was to create a whole new mindset that would be ethically superior to the currently existing created mindset.
task. Marx anticipated that many would object, especially the owners and managers that had a large stake in the capitalist system.
Obviously.
Oh,
Friendly
no.
persuasion wasn't going to get the job done. Only the ruthless application of state power would be up to the task. Marx was all for it. Private property, wage labor, competition in profits, these would have to go. The state, now run by the workers themselves, the dictatorship of the proletariat, as Marx called it, would control production and pricing. It would wisely manage the economy.
Oh, no, not
from
democracy.
Each according to his ability, to each according to his needs.
Ah,
How
scary!
wonderful it would be. No more ego, no more self-interest. Instead,
That's not true.
That's not
That's
true.
not true. Good try.
None of this is
working for the
dependent
benefit
on
of
ego.
everybody else.
None of this is dependent on ego and self-interest evaporating.
Everybody working for the benefit of everybody else. Ah!
And that if you then they haven't really talked about this, but like that's really key from my perspective, is that you have to get people to understand that the best thing for every individual is what is also best for the group. And the notion, the idea that like no one of us is free until all of us are free, you know, and that like let's solve homelessness not just because you know it's humane and because we should be humanists and value our fellow humans so that they value us the same, but also because like then when you know go to 7-Eleven, there won't be a guy out front bugging you for change.
Right.
That's not fun.
Right.
So like there are totally self-interested reasons to solve all these social issues from the right perspective.
Peace, love, and harmony. For many, it's a very seductive idea. Who wouldn't aspire to live in such a world? Look around, a Marxist might say. The powerful exploit the weak, crushing
Yes.
the majority's noble aspirations.
Yes.
Your aspirations.
Yes.
Just so they can have more.
Yes.
It's unfair and unjust.
Yes.
Yes.
How much better if we just start over?
Yes.
Start clean. That's
I mean,
the Marxist.
start over. We can't really start over, start clean. You
Not
know.
like tomorrow. We're not going to tabula rasa
Well,
this
and
shit.
like never. I mean, there's always going to be cultural baggage. It's just what do we do with it? How do we handle it? I certainly think we can transcend it, but it's never going to be a clean slate. We're always modifying an existing model.
Right.
Socialist dream. In real life, it's a nightmare. Needs become demands, and demands become rights. The best are
Rights?
mocked, and the worst exalted. Innovation withers, while the government grows.
Hooray for jewelry thieves! You know that old leftist talking point. Hooray for cat burglars!
We just want people let out of jail for fucking nonviolent weed crimes.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out.
Jesus.
ever larger. Eventually, the productive become virtual slaves to the unproductive, and the society collapses economically, intellectually, and morally.
Again, just
shut
saying that the
up.
productive become slaves to the unproductive. Again, you're describing capitalism.
Yes.
That's what's here now. Shareholders are the least productive people.
Also, intellectualism and moralism is you have to be in a privileged place where you're not worried about what your next meal is going to be to philosophically ponder.
Yes.
That's why philosophers like Karl Marx and like other people, as Mark brought up, tend to be rich people because they have the time to think.
The time, and also they receive the education
To
that gives
have
them
these ponderances.
the linguistic capacity
Yes.
to even notice this
Most
shit.
philosophers are privileged people because
Yeah.
otherwise you don't have the intellectual capacity nor time to ponder these things.
Yeah.
It is a place of privilege to be a philosopher. That's why philosophers are predominantly white men.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the real horror starts.
Oh no.
Not the
If
real
you think
horror.
I'm
The real
exaggerating,
horror?
just ask someone who fled the Soviet Union or Cuba or Venezuela.
Not
We did.
all- yeah, yes.
We had a guest on.
Yeah.
Our friend Eugene, who, as he was very young, but his whole family escaped the USSR. And he has very nuanced perspectives on socialism and communism.
Yeah.
So there you go. From our own experience, we can debunk this guy. Just ask anybody. We did. And they disagreed with you. You fucking liar. So there you go.
It's like these people are not a monolith, first
No,
of all, and
right.
second of all, their societies are not run by Marxist theory. These are authoritarian dictatorships
Exactly.
that actually run pretty capitalistically. But
Yeah.
we're not ready for that conversation.
Its risk and inequities. They prefer freedom. And we should too. I'm Brad Thompson, professor of political science at Clemson University.
Professor of
for Prager University.
and I go
It's
boopy boopy.
So shallow.
Engraved on Karl Marx's
So
tombstone
shallow
in
and
Highgate
so
Cemetery in
manipulative.
North London are the following words. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it.
Great.
Substitute the word professor for the word philosopher. We really don't have philosophers anymore, and you get right to the core of Marx's enduring attraction to the contemporary world. Marx demands that the intellectual class, the professors of law, sociology, history, women's studies, anthropology, journalism, and so on,
Okay.
come out of the ivory tower and join the barricades, to see themselves not as the preservers of the dusty past, but the creators of a new and glorious future. The lure has proven to be very strong, and it's not hard to understand why. How much more meaningful, exciting...
So
Whoa.
he's mad that Marx encouraged the intellectual elite to be activists? Is that basically what he's saying?
He's saying a word salad, so it's a little difficult to interpret. But what I'm hearing is he's implying that philosophers don't exist, so professors are the new philosophers, but only professors of humanities, and they are who leads the change in the world.
I guess so.
And that's bad?
It's weird.
I'm confused.
Also, can we turn him down a smidge?
Yeah, sure.
Just a little. I think he's a little louder than us, and I don't like that. Okay. Go for it.
And romantic to see yourself as an agent of change rather than a mere academic. How much more meaningful, exciting, and romantic.
Oh, yeah. Scary. Why nobody wants that for real.
I mean, I guess this is a matter of interpretation to some extent, but like if you're a professor at a major academic institution, you're an agent of change. Like you're teaching humans to know more than they did when they walked in. You're an agent of change. You know, we can debate about what kinds of change. But to say let's have a university that teaches people things is to promote an institution that brings about change.
Also, isn't he a professor of political science?
Yeah.
Is he like, no, I'm one of the good ones, baby?
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
He's literally a professor of political science.
Yeah.
Who was he talking to?
Well, yeah, and he's out here doing a PragerU video and trying to be an agent of change.
So
it's okay when he does it.
Right.
But other people shouldn't.
That's the conservative way.
The young people who fill up your classroom as potential soldiers in the cause.
I've never, ever seen any professor ever, unless coming from a historical place, say today's lesson is social justice.
Yeah.
It's not like, all right, everyone, get your pickets out. Time to shout. No, they're like, here's how social justice has been interpreted throughout history.
Yeah, time for a lesson on how
What do you think?
Time for a lesson on how to operate a bullhorn.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Get out your pitchforks.
Yeah, get out your pitchforks,
It's time for social justice class. I don't think that's ever happened.
Because social justice is really, like, when you boil it down, social justice is just about expressing your ire towards Frankenstein's monster.
Right. Yeah. Only the only angry mobs can fight for social justice.
Yeah.
What's up, Greg?
Hey, Greg.
Send them into the world with the same revolutionary spirit, the same disgust toward bourgeois middle-class values that you feel, and you've done your job. And we must give these lecture hall revolutionaries their due. Look around. For the most part, they've succeeded. Drill into any current leftist movement, environmentalism, critical race theory.
Chill with the fucking critical race theory. If I hear that goddamn phrase one more time, these people don't know what critical race theory is.
They truly don't.
Massive expansion
They
of the
don't care.
welfare state. Not to mention diversity,
Welfare
equity, and
state.
inclusion offices at every university and major corporation.
Oh no, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Terrifying.
And you will find Marxism at its core. The contempt of the Enlightenment and the Judeo-Christian value system.
There it is. This is not a theocracy. We do not live in a theocracy. We do, but stop.
I'm no expert.
Stop.
I'm no expert on the Enlightenment.
Thanks for the follow.
Thanks for the follow, Jamie SMB. I'm no expert on the Enlightenment, and as far as I know, like Marxism is not does not run in opposition to the Enlightenment. I feel like it grew out of the Enlightenment.
Well, let's look at the time period. Enlightenment, Marxism. Critical appropriation of both critical appropriation of both the modern secular Enlightenment, concerned with the economic man, and the dialectical Enlightenment, concerned with the spiritual element in the human being traditionally seen as shared with the divine mind. So I think Enlightenment predates Marxism.
No, it does. Yeah, it does. It does. But that's what I'm saying. I think Marxism was that the Enlightenment was part of the foundation on which Marxism built his ideas. And again, I could be wrong. I'm again saying I'm not an expert on the Enlightenment, and from my understanding, this is that Marxism and the Enlightenment are not incompatible.
You can't, but what really fucks me up is that more than once now, he's mentioned a contempt of the Enlightenment and Judeo-Christian value system,
Right.
implying that the major philosophical universal good is that which follows a Judeo-Christian value system. That is a specific branch of ethics that is totally, refuted in most ethical teachings. It's completely, abandoned, because it's ridiculous to say that if God said it, then therefore that is universal truth. And that is what he's implying here.
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. Like, there are so many ethical theories that that operate secularly, and it's just like, more than once he's like, Marxism is anti-Christian Judeo values. It's like,
and
whatever.
weren't Enlightenment thinkers critical of Judeo-Christian values? Can we look up real quick what were the core values of the Enlightenment?
There we go. 5 core values: happiness, reason, nature, progress, and liberty.
It lines right up. Marx was all about greater happiness for a greater number of people, using reason to figure out what would work best for everybody, looking at nature. I mean, like, I guess maybe but like, it depends what you mean by nature. Like, obviously, this is a very boiled down.
Yeah.
Progressive. The Enlightenment was progressive. Liberty. Marx was all about, in his
Social
view, greater liberty.
and economic liberty by way of not having us coerced into labor.
Yeah, so basically I was right. And
Yeah.
that's why that kept ringing so false to me. Of like, what are you talking about? That Marx was like, fuck the Enlightenment? Not at all. The Enlightenment inspired Marx.
American Enlightenment thinking. Deism, liberalism, republicanism, conservatism, and toleration of scientific progress. That's interesting.
Interesting.
And Jamie SMB, I'm glad that you are here then, because we're talking about Marx today. We're critiquing PragerU's analysis of Marxism, and it's wrong and bad.
And Zoe, was a philosophy major, and not Marxism was not your focus.
No,
but
my focus was ethics.
Yeah, your focus was ethics, but you did also study a bit of Marxism.
Yes.
From which capitalism springs. Marx's most famous call to action, workers of the world unite, was not, of course, to the professoriate, but to the laboring class.
Yeah.
That didn't work out so well.
Why?
Workers, especially in the United States, turned out to be more interested in refrigerators than revolutions. The only barricade they were passionate about...
Was that a joke? Was that supposed to be funny?
And source? What is he talking about?
Huh?
Is he saying...
I think that was impromptu comedy.
Like, people wanted to shop instead of revolution? Which, like,
I'm
is
so
not
confused by that
necessarily
sentence.
wrong. Americans do tend to prefer shopping to revolution. I mean, yes, but, like, I don't know what point he's trying to make.
And to answer your question, Jamie, materialism, I want to know how your understanding of materialism, like what your understanding of materialism is, because then we can speak to that.
'Cause I definitely think a form of materialism factors in a huge way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on what one means by that term.
Hi, Kiara.
What's up, Kiara?
was a white picket fence in front of a green suburban lawn. Poor,
Wait, what? Huh? Okay, so more interested in
than
refrigerators.
revolutions.
Okay.
The only
Bad.
barricade they were passionate about was a white picket fence in front of a green suburban lawn.
What?
Poor, benighted souls, the appeal of Marxism was somehow lost on them. Maybe because they didn't go to college.
Oh, maybe he's saying, like, maybe the point that he's trying to make is this, like, this Marxist socialist utopia is actually this, like, sad utilitarian society and people want, like, a nice house.
Well, no, I think what he's trying to say is that Marx, he's claiming that the these populist ideas of, like, workers of the world unite and have a revolution was presented to the workers, and that they were like, I'd rather just have a job and shop. He's saying that the workers rejected it, is his claim. Now, obviously, a very important context in terms of the time period he's talking about with the picket fences and the refrigerators being invented is that it was like peak capital. It was like the height of when Americans could actually make a living under capitalism. So yes, of course, back in like the 40s and 50s, when a high school graduate could walk into any car factory or whatever factory and get a job that would then pay them enough to, within, a few months, go out and buy a house. Then there was much less interest in revolution. And I believe Marx actually spoke to this in his writings, that like the amount of interest in revolution would align proportionately with the amount of inequality at play. And the whole sort of capitalist scam was at its most functional peak in the 50s and for boomers in their prime, which is why so many boomers are so defensive of capitalism, because they experienced a version of it that was far more humane than what we're dealing with in America today.
Humane to a certain demographic
relatively.
of humans.
Yeah, well, yes. That's what I say. That's why I say far more humane.
Yes.
Than now economically, but you're right, to a specific subset of humans.
Yes. It was a little worse for
Yes,
another subset
yes,
of humans than it is now.
The economic privilege that existed for more laborers in the 50s was given almost exclusively to white people and men.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, that's why a lot of, I think, older people have very skewed ideas about capitalism, because they came up in this weird little window where it was like at least relatively fair. Where you could, if you were willing to go out and get a job, there was a job waiting for you, and it would pay you enough to live an upper middle class, nuclear family lifestyle.
Right, no gays.
And but also today that's not
gays,
an option
though.
anymore.
No gays, no people of color. Stop.
Now America has shipped almost all of its manufacturing overseas, and
Right.
the gig economy rules, and like it's worse than it's ever been. So anyway, just some context.
But the intellectual class never lost faith. Even after Stalin, even after Mao, even after Castro wrecked Cuba, even after Pol Pot murdered millions of his fellow Cambodians, even after Hugo Chavez destroyed the strongest economy in South America, the academic elite remained true believers. Indeed, in a world
And again,
without
like we've
faith,
already addressed it, like those guys are they're dictators. They're all right-wing dictators.
Yeah, they don't believe in leftism.
They don't believe in left. Yeah, Pol Pot, Mao, they didn't believe in leftism. They believed in
Authoritarianism is right-leaning.
Yeah. They were right-wingers who saw an opportunity to leverage the language of leftist populism to seize power, and then they used that power to instate a right-wing oppressive authoritarian dictatorship.
Well, yeah, Jamie SMB, I don't have a problem with gig jobs existing either. I don't have a problem with service jobs existing. I have a problem with people being threatened with death
by poverty.
essentially,
Yeah.
for not doing them.
Yes.
That's what I have a problem with.
Yes. And there's a big difference between someone who's working a full-time job and making a decent salary, and then they're like, I'll go do a little Ubering on the weekend, and somebody who's Ubering full-time and sleeping in their car in a supermarket parking lot,
Yes. And
it's a broad
Grail of Xanth,
spectrum.
thank you for the correction. That's correct. Authoritarianism can be on the left or right in certain ways, but fascism is right-wing, and these guys were fascists.
Yeah.
So thank you for the correction.
where God is dead, Marxism has become, in effect, a substitute religion.
No.
One of the major strengths of Marxism, in contrast to both modern liberalism and conservatism, is the unyielding commitment of its followers to this faith, to bear witness to it, and to act on it.
He's describing
It
conservatism.
summons these followers to join a crusade to destroy the evil that is capitalism and to create the good that is communism. In our second,
Also, he's used socialism and communism interchangeably this whole time.
Yeah.
Which is it, babe?
He wants his audience confused. That's the goal here. And also, it's just so weird to present this as like, what a silly binary that he would claim capitalism's evil and communism is good. And PragerU does the exact same thing, flipped around. Like, if you think it's like extremist to present a binary like that, then you shouldn't present that binary about anything, but they do all the time. So obviously, they don't actually think this dynamic is generally worthy of criticism. It's only worthy of criticism when someone they don't like is exhibiting
He's
it.
made it so clear that their issue is we'll lose our Judeo-Christian values
Yes.
if we embrace Marxism.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's a religion thing. That's why he's talking about God is dead and Marx is the new guy.
Yeah.
secular world, the Marxist ideal gives the Marxist true believer a reason to live, a reason to die, and a reason to kill. Monsters
Yikes.
like Lenin, Stalin, Mao,
Yes.
Kim Il-sung, Ho Chi Minh, and Pol Pot took this to the nth degree and murdered millions.
No, they're
For
fascists.
the record,
Yeah,
the
fuck
latter
'em.
two were politically educated in France. Pol Pot studied at the Sorbonne.
Oh, no.
If you
They
think
got their education in France?
The French!
I'm exaggerating the evils of Marxism, If you think Stalin and those other guys got communism wrong, but you're
And then he
new-
said the evil. He just said it earlier. He's like the evils of capitalism. Like, oh, the evils so extreme.
And I was
then
like, the evils
line,
of-
the evils of Marxism.
Ah! It's so stupid. You
Def-
can't argue for a gray area if you're not living in the gray area.
Exactly.
democratic socialism will get it right, think again.
Oh,
Marxism leads a
Bernie
society toward a
Sanders
fixed goal.
and
AOC.
Mao Zedong are the same person.
A utopian vision of pure freedom in which the individual is liberated from the false consciousness of capitalism. Unfortunately,
Capitalist realism, to be
Yes,
very
yes,
specific.
yes,
by
yes.
Marx's own definition, the path to this utopia requires the destruction, economically, politically, and morally, of every vestige of civilization as we know it.
Oh, yikes!
So he's saying that Marx said you have to wipe out every vestige of civilization as we know it. So I guess then no more bathrooms. That's
No
a,
more conversations, baby.
That's a vestige of civilization as we know it. So I guess Marx was anti-bathrooms. What an interesting fact I've learned
Do you know Ted Cruz is anti-doors?
from this educational video.
Well, yeah, well, is the implication here, I believe, is that capitalism
Yeah.
is civilization as we know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is like
stupid.
in a way true, like as we, the American populace, have come to understand being
How
in the
we've
world.
been indoctrinated.
Sure,
yeah.
capitalism is civilization as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
But like humanity, you can't speak on a macro level to that.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Utterly absurd.
He's a professor of political science, y'all.
And literally,
This is upsetting.
literally, Marx wanted workers to control the means of production. The means of production are a vestige of civilization. Having means of production, industrial production specifically, too. It's like, these are vestiges of just a completely insane, stupid claim. Fucking liar.
Free enterprise, division of labor, profit and loss, competition, and material wealth.
Economically, Marxism seeks to destroy free enterprise, the division of labor, profit and loss, competition, and material wealth. Politically, it seeks
Look
to
at these stupid, like, you're a child animations with these giant,
Yeah.
like, socio-political concepts.
They have
the
to
rule
like
of
they
law.
have to make it look like Donkey Kong
Yeah,
for their
deadass,
audience,
for their
to
audience to
understand.
get it. Ah.
Like, I'd love to like talk to people who love PragerU and like, so what is Marxism? Well, it's when you take a cannon and blow up my freedom of speech building. Fucking babies.
And I just can't. I knew they were gonna get to freedom of speech. Like there is so much more to our Constitution than freedom of speech and guns.
Seriously?
Like
Seriously?
literally, I think genuinely people believe that like the only two things in the Constitution is let me have guns and say what I want.
Yeah.
Like there's more.
There is a little bit
But
more.
wait,
to
there's
it.
more.
Yeah.
law, separation of powers, and freedom of speech. Morally, it seeks to destroy individual.
No, he speaks to individualism.
Yeah.
He says you will reach a higher state of individualism.
This host has multiple times cited how he spoke to individualism. Like what?
It's insane. This is insanity.
It's just so fucking wrong.
Religious liberty, I don't believe that Marx speaks too much to
No.
religious liberty at all.
No.
And independent thought, same thing, individualism. Like, this is redonkulous.
Yeah.
Individualism, religious liberty, and independent thought. And on top of this rubble, it builds the all-powerful state ruled by an all-powerful elite.
Elite.
This is why the communist
No.
1%.
All
The
powerful elite.
communist 1%.
That's I and you know.
Let's see. Maybe I didn't deserve to laugh like that. Let's see if
Well-
I have to put my foot in my mouth.
Well, and also I got a little thrown off because of that.
Go ahead.
Because what was the last thing he said?
Hold on. 40% of Americans have a favorable view of socialism. Let's see. What did he just say?
Oh, right. The thing
Social
of
elites.
like an elite ruling the land. I believe that is how motherfuckers like Stalin and Lenin misinterpreted his work. Like everything I've seen of his writings, it's all about democratic control, the workers controlling things. Like it would be, if you're doing, if you had a centralized economy with a Marxist, and your goal is for it to be Marxist, it would have to be, the decisions of that centralized economy would have to be dictated by the people, by the workers. And, it's not necessarily an easy task to design and set up a system that will function in that way. And I think it is entirely achievable.
Right.
And on top of this,
Also, just for everyone, 40% of Americans have a favor. This is 2020. I'm sure it's gotten worse. Worse as in, like, more people favor socialism and or communism. Let's see.
So better, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The number has gotten bigger. 49%.
And yes, Kralov Sant, any Christian who says their favorite freedom of speech is a liar.
No.
Man, most people, like, everyone has a line. I've said it many times before. Everyone has a line for speech they think shouldn't be said. There's a joke. Any given person, there's a joke that could offend them. The question is, where do we draw those lines, and what is the most pragmatic and functional place for a society to draw those lines?
18% of Gen Z and 13% of millennials think communism is a fairer system than capitalism and deserves consideration in America. 30% of Gen Z has a favorable view of Marxism, up 6% from 2019 compared to 27% of millennials, down 9% from 2019. 40% of Americans have a favorable view of socialism, up from 36% in 2019. Socialist sentiment is increasing among younger generations, with Gen Z's favorability at 49%, up from 40% in 2019. So what is this 1% bullshit?
Yeah.
Let's see.
rubble, it builds the all-powerful state ruled by an all-powerful elite. This is why the communist 1%, the true 1%, must use the full power of the state to force the 99%, the true 99%, to become something they are not and do not want to be.
Again, he's describing capitalism.
The true 1%? Like, do you not think that 1% of our population has all the wealth?
I think he's trying to speak in the voice of Marx, that these Marxists are saying that we're going to take the power away from like the fake 1% and give it to the true 1%, the leftist the communists.
That's not how this works.
It's not how this works. Obviously, first of all, you just looked up the numbers. There's way more than 1% support in the U.S. for socialism and communism.
But yeah, it's also just like to say the true 1% and the true 99%, even if that's his implication, what he's doing now is negating the fact that there are very real numbers that say that 1%, less than 1% of the population has like 99% of the wealth.
Yeah.
So like you can't call it the true 1%.
And it's not 99%. If you go to one, it's the large majority.
Large majority.
If you go down to like the 1% or the 1% of Earth, like I think it's like 85%. It's somewhere around there.
But you can't just like throw away actual statistical facts in favor of your propagandic bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, you can. We'll just have to make fun of you.
Yeah. We'll just have to tell you you're a fucking dumbass loser.
And also, again, he's just literally describing capitalism. A 1% dictating what the 99% get to do with their lives. That's fucking capitalism right now.
And if that doesn't work, the secular philosophy of brotherly love simply intimidates into silence and ultimately liquidates as much of the 99% as is necessary to keep everybody in line. Censorship, secret police, and re-education camps.
Re-education camps.
Those already exist.
Yeah.
There are secret police. They exist.
Yeah.
Censorship exists. And what is it? Educated people in cages? What did he say?
Line. Censorship,
Exists.
secret police,
Exists.
and re-education camps.
Re-education camps. Have you ever heard of a conversion camp?
Yeah.
These are not bugs in an imperfect system. They are features, critical parts of its design. In short, the problem with Marxism has been and always will be Marxism. Too bad the academic
What an
establishment
argument.
has yet to
Whoa.
figure this out.
We love a
Or even
cyclic
worse,
argument.
maybe they have. I'm Brad Thompson, professor of political science at Clemson University for Prager University.
You don't need re-education.
Thank you for watching this
camps.
video. To keep Prager...
Shut him up. Cancel him. Silence him.
You're censored.
Yeah. It's
Shit
just
is wild.
it was so goofy and dumb throughout. Wow. Okay.
Never let your fans down with great entertainment. This isn't.
Imagine watching this video by yourself and then walking away like, how entertaining.
This was actually well put together. Color me impressed, PragerU.
Good God.
Thank you, PragerU. You folks are spreading the wisdom of the ages. This Marxist collective idea has been debunked since Plato.
Since Plato?
Who came first?
Well, I think what they're trying to say is that collectivism was debunked.
Yeah, but that's not what they
No,
said.
well, they're an idiot. They're a stupid moron.
Plato was like millennia before Marxist.
Their profile picture is a no symbol over a hammer and sickle. Their entire identity. Their entire identity is being.
Look at this fucking profile picture right here.
Their entire identity is being mad about communism. They're not worthy of any consideration.
Oh my god. How do you tell a communist? Bad sentence. Well, it's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. How do you tell an anti-communist? It's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. Ronald Reagan.
Also, double check if that's. I think it's perfectly possible he said that, but I feel like 9 times out of 10 when people say this shit, they're wrong.
I love like incorrectly attributed quotes to Martin Luther King on Martin Luther King Day.
They're fantastic. What a delight. Looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. Because they wrote it so poorly.
Yeah, it wasn't even a quote. Ronald Reagan quotes on communism. There we go.
How do you tell a communist?
Okay,
Oh, is that actually how he said it?
that's fucked up.
Ronald Reagan was so bad at talking.
Wait, what? No way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. How do you tell a communist?
How do you tell a
How do you
communist?
tell a communist? Wait.
Well,
Yes.
it's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And how do you tell an anti-communist? Well, it's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. Well,
Do you know that you don't need to read someone's work to understand them? You can just like go off vibes. So what you're saying though is you're implying that
they're implying they read them
anti-communists
and
have also
understood
read
it.
them.
Yes.
Oh, you don't know who Ronald Reagan is, Fox, right? Or are we talking about Marx or Lenin?
Probably
Because
Ronald
Reagan is ruined this country.
He's the father of modern misery in America. He was our president in the 80s, 2 terms, and he really he came on the heels of Jimmy Carter, who was a widely disliked president, seen as like weak and
literally the only nice president.
Literally,
we've ever had.
Jimmy Carter, it seems like, is like the only nice president, at least in modern times. Like after Jimmy Carter stopped being president, the first thing he did is he went out and started working on Habits for Humanity. Like literally, he's like in his 90s or something, and he still goes out and like with his own hands builds houses for people in need.
Yeah.
So like, he's clearly the nicest president, and so of course Americans hated him.
Yeah. Hi, Possesco.
Hey, what's up, Possesco? Welcome to the chat. And then Reagan came in, and Reagan really launched neoliberalism in America. He was a big proponent of austerity measures.
Also, trickle-down economics was a Reagan thing.
Yes,
Which-
and was very much embraced by Bill Clinton as well, and working with Greenspan. Why am I forgetting his first name? But yeah, that's the thing. It's like Reagan started neoliberalism in America, and then Bill Clinton continued it under the guise of like being more left, but he really wasn't.
Reagan was also an actor.
Yes.
In the way that Donald Trump was a reality TV host, Ronald Reagan was an actor.
Yeah, he was an actor and a bit of a dummy, and but you know he looked good on camera, and he spoke with a charming, folksy patois. I don't know what to call it.
Because he's a fucking actor.
Yeah, because he was an actor. So
That's what performers do.
He acted like a president, and that was enough for many Americans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he started the slashing of social welfare programs that then that continued to be slashed under Bill Clinton.
Yes, so that's who Reagan is, and he's a piece of garbage. And to answer your question, the topic of the stream on Tuesdays, we just look at propaganda and we make fun of it.
Yeah.
But right now, we just watched a 3-part series from Prager University about Marxism, and it was wrong about
Highly inaccurate.
highly inaccurate.
Very, at best, poorly researched. At worst, intentionally designed to mislead everyone who watches it.
Yes. And yes,
Yeah.
Fox. In short, yes, he was a really bad president we had for a while.
Yes.
A lot
You
of
got it.
conservatives of today see Ronald Reagan as like the ideal. Like Ronald Reagan is like who you look up to as a conservative. He's
Yes.
like the best of the best.
Yeah, you know how like this guy in this video was describing like, oh, all these true believers in Marx who just keep believing no matter how bad the stuff he suggested works out. He's actually describing Reagan.
Yes.
Is that there's a bunch of right-wingers in America who obsessively praise Reagan no matter how much we've seen that his policies hurt everyone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so like with liberals and Obama, yes, you have
In a way, yes.
in a way, yeah.
I'd say Clinton is more the liberals.
Yeah, Clinton.
Reagan.
I agree with that. I think Clinton is more the liberal guy.
Yeah, Obama's sort of like the liberal progressives Reagan.
Yeah.
And us leftists, we don't have one because there's never been a leftist
Well, I mean, Jimmy Carter was
president in the
cool.
U.S. He was cool, but when he was president,
it's
it's not like he was pushing leftist ideals when he was
no.
president. He was a pretty middle of the road guy. He just wasn't like a total corporatist businessman worshiper. And then Ronald Reagan came in and was
Kind of a synthesis of both, Fox. He like the ideals of trickle down economics have been really, really big in our cultural and economic understanding in America for a really, really long time after Marx. And this is sort of like a big right wing talking point now. Is this trickle down economic system, which doesn't work. As a matter of fact, it just makes the poor poorer and the rich richer.
Yeah, they've been the right wing has been pitching trickle down economics and many liberals too, like Clinton.
Yeah, and Pozzesco, no, I don't think a president has ever really worked for the people.
No.
I'm gonna go pee really quick. I'll be right back.
Yes. And yeah, no. I mean, I think, some presidents have definitely done things that have helped the people. But the issue is it's really America is an oligarchy first and foremost. Our politicians work for the wealthy owner class. And when the people are helped, it's usually something incidental. It's most often something that, like most of the progress America has made, I'd say socially in the last few decades, it's all things that existing, entrenched, powerful capitalists could make money off of. So like they'll fight tooth and nail on the social programs and taxing the rich and all that stuff. Like we've made like no progress on that. But like the powers that be will let gay people start getting married because there's money to be made on there being more weddings to plan and supply with shit. Same thing with why the system has allowed gay people to now get married because there's money to be made I just said gay people get married. The weed to be legalized because there's money for the rich to make from weed being legalized.
Of course.
And it's why the first priority when weed was legalized was to make sure that all the existing business people could engage with it as a new product, as opposed to prioritizing making sure all the people who had been imprisoned for selling weed in the past were freed. We still haven't done that. There are still people rotting in prison for nonviolent drug charges. But
Predominantly black people.
yeah, but day one of weed legalization, you had affluent young white people opening weed stores immediately. That we got out right out of the gate. But liberating the people who are imprisoned for shitty reasons, maybe we'll get to that someday. We'll see.
Justified slave labor, baby.
Indeed.
Sorry, lawfully justified slave labor, not
Right.
not morally justified slave labor.
Yes.
And yeah, glad to have more Europeans in chat. We love hearing your stuff over the pond. Italy, nice.
Nice. We love meeting people all over the world.
I don't think we've met someone from Italy yet.
No, I think
At least not openly so.
Yeah, I think you're the first person who at least has told us that you're from Italy, so that's cool.
Also, Fox, we heard that what's his name? Piece of shit dirtbag. They didn't vote him out in the UK.
Boris
last
Johnson.
Night? Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. We heard. Yeah, the vote of no confidence. Not that like it would have been
succeed.
If it had succeeded. What he would, like you said, Fox. There are plenty of people waiting to replace him. Like it's not like he'd be replaced by some angel man. Mm-hmm. He'd just be replaced by another right wing dipshit.
Damn it. Hi, Cheeseburger Merv.
What's up, Cheeseburger Merv?
Yeah, but what it does do is it weakens public faith in him, which is great.